What's going on, Tamers? It's me, Guy, pleasantly surprised actually, and that's because after a weekend of waiting and theorizing, Bandai has finally released the updated banned and restricted list for the Digimon card game. That said, it's that magical time where we all get to pull out our metaphorical bingo cards and see how badly all of our predictions really were. In this video, I want to talk about the cards that got hit, what it means for the game going forward not only in the East but also the West, but also what we can glean from Bandai's ban and restriction strategies based off of today's announcement. That said, let's just dive in. So first we're going to start with the cards that were newly limited to 1 per deck. And the first one is one I think that nobody had on their radar, and it is the starter deck 6 Gabumon, the purple Gabumon card. Bandai's reasoning for restricting this card is because its inheritance effect allows you to, on attack, draw 1 and then discard 1 card in your hand. What's really important about this effect is that it's not once per turn. And because Gurumon decks are known for unsuspending and making multiple attacks in a single turn, you would keep using this card's effect over and over. Also, because this card is a level 3, Bandai felt that it was too abusable too early in the game. Considering that a lot of the Gurumon decks are running X-Antibody cards, getting to level 4 or level 5 is usually enough to get this card out and be able to use it multiple times. Because this is a starter deck card, does that mean that the purple starter deck is now no longer legal to play out of the box? The next card to get restricted to 1 and dying beside his brother is another Gabumon card, but this time the BT2 Gabumon, who allows you on inheritance to draw 2 cards and drop 1 in the trash. Bandai's reasoning for this hit is because they felt that his cycle ability was too great for level 3, and they felt that this effect was so good that there wasn't really much of a reason to use other level 3 discard effects at all. This next card feels like the free space on the bingo card because I feel like so many people had this card pegged to get hit, and that's going to be the BT13 Yugioh Greymon. Bandai admits that they underestimated how quickly this card lets you set up Tamers on the board, not only for the Shine Greymon deck it was intended for, but also other decks like Yellow Vaccine. They also felt that being able to play Tamers directly from another source that wasn't your hand was too strong of an effect and narrowed future card designs, and as a result they limited it to 1. The next card to be limited to 1 per deck is going to be the EX4 Blue Mach Galgamon card. Bandai says that they felt that the EX4 Galgamon line in its entirety helped the deck set up faster than they expected, and as a result, Mach Galgamon and Mirage Galgamon can interfere with the opponent way faster than they thought. Because of this Mach Galgamon's removal ability and its ability to unsuspend on attack and inheritance, the deck pushed out the need for other Mach Galgamon cards, and as a result, its stability was way higher than they anticipated. And the final card to be restricted to 1 per deck is going to be the BT7 Eismon Scatter Mode. I think this choice comes as no surprise considering the dominance of Apocalymon in the Japanese meta right now, considering Apocalymon has 30% more wins than the second best deck underneath it. And as far as Bandai's reasoning for why it got hit, it's pretty much what you'd expect here. As a level 4, it allows you to exchange a huge amount of cards, and it basically pushes out the use of any other level 4 that would use discard effects as well. Alongside the announcement to restrict all these cards to 1, Bandai for the first time has actually lifted the restriction on some cards that were previously restricted to 1 in the game. The first of those cards being BT6 Savior Huckmon. Bandai says that when this card was originally restricted, the environment that it was in allowed it to play tons of Sistermons alongside a Jesmon that had piercing. And with the speed and power that this card enabled Jesmon to have in that environment, no other deck could really mount a defense. But now with this card unrestricted, they feel that Jesmon can now compete in the current environment alongside some of the stronger decks out there. And to all my Jesmon brothers in arms out there, I'm happy to say that we never gave up, we kept fighting, and it happened. I salute you. We also got another card unlimited, and that is the BT7 Tomihime. When he was first introduced to the game, his on-play effect had a significant impact on many decks out there. And because he was played in Blue Hybrid, he didn't need many evolution sources or source cards to get great effects. Because of this deck was much faster than anything else out there and could stop and freeze opponents' decks that were able to even remotely catch up. However, in the current environment, Bandai feels that there are decks that can compete with source stripping and play around the freezing effects that this card once presented. Alright, now that we've talked about all the cards from this announcement, it's time to hold my feet to the fire and see how well I did with my prediction list when we compare it to actual reality. Oof. Great reminder that my word is not gospel. I'm just a guy online with opinions, so. Just another heads up, the changes from this announcement are set to take place in Japan and Asia, I believe from October 27th, and then from the English-speaking side of the game from November 17th. And so once these restrictions come about, I think that in the English side of the game, it's pretty clear that Mirage Galgamon and Shine Greymon will take a bit of a hit. November 17th is also the day that the West gets their hands on BT14's Blast Ace, and alongside that are the box toppers of the training cards. And because of those cards, I don't think that Shine Greymon and Mirage Galgamon will disappear, but I will say that they will be less dominant than they were in Japan. Speaking of Japan, what these cards mean for the Japanese meta right now, honestly isn't super significant outside of Apocalymon. For me, it's kind of surprising to not see Analog Youth or Gurumon X Antibody touched in this update, but because of that, I believe that we're going to see Garurumon, Anubismon, and Fenrir become some of the strongest decks, or continue to be the strongest decks in the game. Who knows, maybe we'll see something else bubble up, like the resurgence of Jesmon, or maybe the blue hybrids being able to freeze and source strip stuff. Could be useful in these cases, but we'll just have to wait and see. And so finally, I think that whether you're happy or not with this announcement, I think there's a couple of things you can take away regarding Bandai's strategy for restricting and banning cards. The first is that Bandai seems unwilling to hit newly released cards that have just come out in Japan and Asia. We see this with the clear example that Garurumon X Antibody was not touched, despite it being so similar to Greymon X Antibody. Additionally, it seems that based on these choices, Bandai wants to have parity between the East and the West of the game, regardless of the fact that there are different release schedules. And they'll make sure to target cards in a way that satisfies this condition. You see with pretty much all of the cards being touched this time around being much older cards that were already released in English. And then finally, we still have no SR or higher rarity cards hit. All the secret rares and all of the super rares are still intact. You could probably make an argument that some of those promo cards would probably be super rare cards. For example, the blue rare Garurumon that's limited to 1, but I'll save that for another video. That being said, I'm super excited to get back out there, start doing some deck building, and see what the new landscape of the game looks like. Let me know your guys' thoughts about today's announcement in the comments below. Also, how well did you do with your predictions? I'd love to know. I can't be the only one that did this poorly, right? Anyways, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. What was that sound? Did someone just subscribe? Did someone just become a member on YouTube? Was that what that was? I'm catching strays while I'm recording.